Me, 24-year-old female, and my husband, 21-year-old male, got married very soon in January 2022. He's in the military and we've been together since November 2021. We have 2 kids, a 5-year-old girl and a 6-month-old boy. I will say he has experienced mental health problems throughout our entire relationship, and I have not always been the best support for him mentally. Throughout this post, I will address my faults accordingly. The first thing I noticed was him on OnlyFans, off, which for some reason I was okay with at the beginning of our relationship. I get it, he's a male and has needs I can't always help with. But OnlyFans is very personal in my opinion compared to other sites. That's the first boundary I placed. Don't do it. He kept doing it. Even now. Obviously, saying it was okay at the beginning was wrong on my part, especially because I changed my mind. I just didn't realize he would subscribe to his friends. I found out I was pregnant shortly after my birthday last July. He knows I dealt with infidelity from my previous ex with whom I share a child. During the course of my pregnancy, I dealt with infidelity from my husband as well. I have sexual trauma, and he knew this going into the relationship. While pregnant, I didn't want to engage in sexual activities, which was unfair of me. He cuddled with my 23-year-old female cousin while I was asleep, and I allowed her to stay with us for a few days. He then dared my drunk best friend, 25-year-old female, to undress in the car while they were driving to the military base. I'm not saying the girls did nothing wrong, but that's not my point. After delivering the baby, he appeared to get very close with a close friend of mine who we always hang out with, as well as her husband. They're a few years older than us. They ended up kissing on multiple occasions, and he made comments about getting together with them, which I refused to do. I found out they were talking behind my back, and he would log into her Snapchat and look at her private posts. I should have ended my friend's relationship there, but I understood why my husband did it. Anyways, a week ago, he told me that he logged into her Snapchat again and gave her private videos of us. He also invited her over in the middle of the night while my daughter and I were at an Airbnb due to a fight we had that night. He told me he was trying it out, whatever that means. I did threaten to divorce him the last time it happened, and that's something you should never do in a marriage. I feel like I have had zero support from him throughout our entire relationship, and he just expects it from me. He is a very good dad to his son, though, something I see and love every single day. I don't believe in divorce, and most of me doesn't believe I should be allowed to break any vows, even if he's been breaking them our entire relationship. But last night I gave him an ultimatum. I said, if you want an open marriage, then fine. Whatever you do, I will do in return with zero repercussions. Apparently, he's never had sex with any of these people, but I don't believe that. I will not have sex with anybody in this ultimatum. I'm personally not comfortable with that. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. So, your solution to your problem is to make it worse. Excellent choice. You get to do something you don't want to do to punish him, but in reality, you are just telling him, go ahead, while also punishing yourself. Here's a suggestion. I know it sounds crazy and you may have never heard of this, but there is this thing called divorce. You should Google it. Comment 2. Sounds like a good old case of Article 134. Everyone sucks here, you are both the idiot. Him for his behavior, you for allowing yourself to go through this a second time. My honest suggestion? Divorce him and find a good therapist to help you rebuild your self-worth and confidence. It won't be easy, but you owe at least that much to your kids. Comment 3. You married a child 2 months after you started dating, and within 6 months you were pregnant. You're the idiot for all of that. The rest of it is a predictable path of the poor choices you made. Now, for the next story. I am a proofreader, but I specialize in preparing amateur essays for spoken competition. My only job is to change parts of the text that do not make sense when read aloud. Here is the corrected text. I am 35 years old, and I have a beautiful, healthy baby girl who is 6 months old. She was born at 34 weeks and was born with an eye condition that requires her to wear glasses. Due to this condition, she sees a vision therapist to help strengthen her eyes. We have only shared this information with my parents and mother-in-law, MIL, not because we are ashamed, but because my child's medical needs are no one's business. The problem is that my husband and his brother had a falling out. His brother was arrested for domestic violence and left homeless. My husband financially helped him move to the state where my mother-in-law resides because a protective order was issued. During this time, his girlfriend started harassing me on social media. It got so bad that I reached out to my mother-in-law for help in stopping it, since she was still in contact with the girlfriend. A few months later, my husband and I were told that his brother had moved back in with the girlfriend. The brother then contacted us asking for money, which led to a huge argument between my husband and him. My husband told my mother-in-law not to inform him of anything concerning his brother or share any information about our family with him. My daughter received her diagnosis at 3 months, and we confided in our parents, hoping for support if the prognosis was severe, legally blind. However, yesterday I received an anonymous text from an unknown number saying that it is karma that my daughter has eyes going in opposite directions and implying that she has intellectual disabilities. The text also mentioned that my daughter was born prematurely because of my supposed rotten womb. I called the number and it turned out to be the girlfriend. Shaking and furious, my husband and I called my mother-in-law, demanding to know how his brother knew about our daughter's condition. She lied and said she had no idea. I reminded her that no one except our parents knew, so she must have told him. She started crying, and that's when I told her I no longer trust her and that she will not have access to my daughter. She then texted my husband and his brother, saying that I hurt her feelings and she is now closing this chapter and staying out of my husband's life because of his wife's behavior. Edit. The girlfriend had sent me a direct message looking for money from the brother-in-law, but it went to my spam folder and I didn't see it until hours later. Within those hours, she messaged me again, bringing up my stillborn son and my unborn daughter at the time, also saying negative things about my husband's job. After those messages, I ignored her. I wasn't going to help someone who attacked me in that way. I told my mother-in-law and sent her the messages. She made excuses for the girlfriend and always excuses her crazy behavior. This time, I have had enough and we have chosen to go no contact. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. His brother's girlfriend needs a good-ass whooping, though. Who says mean things like that? As for the mother, I would give it some time. Understand that things can slip up in conversation sometimes, and now she is emotional and calling you names. If you have an interest in salvaging the relationship with her, then time and good conversation will be needed. If not, then no contact is the way to go. Comment 2. She started crying, and that's when I told her I no longer trust her and that she will not have access to my daughter. She then texted my husband and his brother saying that I hurt her feelings and is now closing this chapter and staying out of my husband's life because of his wife. Good riddance. Comment 3. Well, it's pretty obvious why the brother-in-law is hooked up with such a low-class cretin. She's just like his mother. You don't need any of these disgusting excuses for life forms in your or your daughter's lives. I hope your husband has enough backbone to make that stick. Now, for the next story. My 25-year-old female sister, 30-year-old female, has asked me to move in for a few months until she has her baby. Here's some history leading up to this request. My sister's husband got caught having unregistered guns in their house last year. This eventually led to him being sentenced to between 11 months to 4 years in prison. The sentence was handed out recently, but they both knew he was getting prison time, and they've known that for a year since he was initially charged. My sister, who already has a son, he's 4 years old, different dad than her current husband, decided it was a great idea to have a baby with her husband since he was going away and she would potentially not get to see him for a few years, and this could be the last chance she gets to have another kid. So she got pregnant and is due in February. She just returned home this previous week from driving her husband to turn himself in at a prison in Pennsylvania. So, on to her request for me to move in. Since she is now alone in their house, she has asked me to live with her temporarily so I can help her out, as her pregnancy gets to its final stages and to drive her to the hospital when she goes into labor. Here's why I don't want to. My sister has a complicated history of drug use, theft, and just overall bad life choices. Her house is always dirty, she doesn't work, and she has a 4-year-old who doesn't attend preschool. I am currently staying with our dad because I am trying to get back on my own feet after my life took a bad turn a couple years ago. I'm depressed a lot, stressed about the future, but at least right now I have a routine and live in a relatively calm environment. I also have a cat whom I would need to take with me if I move in with my sister. I don't want to uproot my cat either because he's already been moved around a lot due to me having to hop around from place to place. This is the first time I've not had to move in a while, and I'm getting closer and closer to being able to be independent again and move to my own place. I desperately just want to focus on that, not take on the responsibility of watching my sister and nephew for several months in a new house, dealing with whatever issues she may have. Edit. I want to clarify on the statement about the guns. Their house was raided, the police found guns in a compartment in the ceiling, and that's what led to his arrest. My sister told me they weren't registered, but people are saying that's not enough to get arrested, so maybe there's more to it. But that's what I was told. Apologies if this confused some people. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You said she does not work. It almost sounds like she is looking for someone to support her and her kid. It will not be just a few months. She will want you to stay longer to help with the new baby. As for the guns, the only way you go to prison for that long for unregistered guns is if you have a felony record. You can still drive her to the hospital when she goes into labor and help her out a few days after the birth. You do not have to move in with her. Comment 2. Not the idiot. First rule of any emergency or bad situation, do not add to the casualty count. It's not unreasonable to want to look after yourself. It takes strength and maturity to recognize that while you're relatively okay at the minute, you haven't got a great deal of time/energy/spoons to spend on other people right now, especially a situation that is as messy as your sister's. Comment 3. First, he wasn't arrested for unregistered guns. If he is a felon, he was arrested because they cannot have guns, or they were stolen. Unregistered is not a reason. So she lied to you. That alone would make me not want to be there. You do not have to sacrifice your life for her choices. Not the idiot. Now, for the next story. My male 43, daughter, female 15, started dating a boy, male 15, she likes. He is a sweet boy. My wife, female 43, and I like to keep our kids feeling safe to tell us anything. It is harder for them to tell her stuff, so sometimes I compensate for that. One day, my wife was coming home late. My daughter came to my room and asked if she could talk to me about something. I could tell she was nervous and embarrassed. She told me that she wanted to do something with her boyfriend, but she doesn't want to get pregnant, and that she doesn't know how to start things. We had a long conversation about this. We talked about everything regarding sexual activity. And I'm glad I did because I realized how little she knew about some stuff. She didn't realize that boys can be uncomfortable too, how consent is very important. She didn't know how to know her safe days, hygiene, how being mature about it affects sex, etc. I gave my daughter condoms, advised her to buy others if these weren't fit, and told her to stay careful and safe. She smiled and thanked me. That night, I was talking with my wife when I mentioned our conversation. She was confused and said that she felt this conversation was very inappropriate. We argued for a while, but I didn't want to keep on arguing, so I joked about how we are short of condoms, so maybe we will have a baby. She was confused. Then she realized that I had given some condoms to our girl. She was mad at me for giving her condoms and the green light to have sex without asking her. I felt like I was wrong for not asking her, so I apologized. Am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot. You do need to get her some follow-up material. I hope you mentioned that both her and the boy need to read the instructions on the condom box on how to put one on, to never flip it over and try again if he started putting it on the wrong side out, and the importance of using lube. Honestly, your daughter should also go on some form of long-term hormonal birth control if possible, and still understand she needs to use condoms. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I think it's amazing you have this relationship with your daughter. Your wife may feel jealous that she didn't come to her. As a female, I think I would want my daughter coming to me first, but I'd be proud she came at all. And looking back on my teen years, kids are going to do it whether you want them to or not. It's better that she is safe thanks to the condoms you got her and knowledge you provided her. Comment 3. No idiots here, but I do question the wisdom in telling a 15-year-old she's got safe days. Do you realize that young people often have irregular cycles? It isn't a wonder to me that your wife would have liked to be present for that conversation because she likely has a different perspective and other information. Your child is 15, uninformed, and it sounds like an incomplete discussion to me. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.